The Intuality AI podcast, the show in which we try to predict the future, and in this case, the future of the coronavirus, COVID-19, as we face really two issues. One is the opening up of the economy, and secondly, potentially a second wave of whatever strength. I'm Dr. Howard Rankin, and I'm here today again with founder and chairman of Intuality AI, Grant Renier. Grant, what have we got today?
Okay, Howard, this is going to just be about the states of the United States, as you indicated. But before that, we're going to start out with this chart that predicts the system's predictions of the deaths in the US for 125 days into the future. And as you can see, the rate continues all the way through July 14 at a rate of about 900 per day, which is again significantly under what other reports, especially from the federal government, the administration, are reporting. But even at that rate, it brings us around about July 14th at a total number of deaths of somewhere around 135,000, 140,000 total. And then it flattens out for a period of about a month. And then the system is continuing to predict the upturn of a second wave starting at about mid-August.
Okay.
The first state, and these are ranked by the total number of deaths within states. So we're going from the top to the bottom, and the first is, of course, New York. And this is a different kind of chart this time. It shows a growth up till about May 24th, and then a sudden jump in the rate of deaths, and then a continued growth up until about June 24th, when there's another little spike up, and then a flattening out all the way through to roughly the August 21st first period, where again, there seems to be an indication of a second wave. So this is somewhat of a different curve. We're not sure why the system has produced this, but it's quite different and unique for New York.
Yeah, and the rate averaging about 430 deaths a day through July 1st, then that decrease, and then a possible second wave late August. Okay, who's next?
Correct. Okay, so the next state going down in current number of deaths is New Jersey. We see a different curve here, of course, a continued growth of deaths up to July 4th at the rate of about 100 per day. And then the flattening out of the curve. And then finally, again, a possible second wave occurring in mid-August at roughly the same rate.
Yeah.
And then the next state going down is Massachusetts. Here again, it's very similar to the previous one for New Jersey. Again, a growth in deaths at roughly about 50 a day through June 24, and the curve flattening out or continuing to grow but at a lesser rate. And then the indication of a second wave starting roughly in mid-August. And then for Michigan, this is not what the people in Michigan want to hear, but there is actually not any flattening out of the curve according to the system. There'll be a continued growth at a rate of about 40 deaths per day, all the way through to about the mid-September period, with no flattening of the curve.
Of course, all these curves are relative to the base rate. So you have to look at the actual numbers as well as the curve. Curve gives you some idea of the pattern, the numbers of the extent, really, of the predicted deaths. So here's another one that looks similar. This is Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is growing at a rate of about 130 per day. This is much higher than Michigan, but this flattens out roughly in June 26, still growing somewhat, but at a much slower rate, and then a pickup of a possible second wave roughly around mid-August. So that's Pennsylvania. For Illinois, the next one down the list is a similar kind of curve, a slower growth rate of about 60 per day up to June 26th. The curve is climbing at a slower rate until about August 21st, where the possible second wave starts to occur as well. And then for Connecticut, there's a 30 deaths per day rate growth up to June 26th. The curve slows down a little bit all the way till August 21st, and then a possible second wave in mid-August. And then for the Connecticut, again.
Sorry, that's California, right?
I'm sorry, for California, there's a continued growth with no flattening out all the way from today up through mid-September at the rate of about 28 to 30 deaths per day for the Californians.
Although that's a low number for such a large state, we should say, right?
It is. So that's what we've got. And we think that in context of the discussion going on about opening up and also about the possible second wave, we think these curves have relevance and should be considered in those discussions. And we refer back to our previous podcast where we demonstrated that we're running at about a 2% error rate in our predictions. And we'll see if that holds as we go into the future here.
Yes, absolutely. So we are doing these at least once a week, sometimes more frequently. If you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be great. You'd get notices about when we're coming online with our latest information. And also, please feel free to visit IntualityAI.com, where you can get this and other information and the history of Intuality. It's 30 years research and development, or really more than 30 years, and the latest data that we are showing. So that's at IntualityAI.com. Okay, anything else, Grant?
No, that's it. Really wish that the system was predicting something different, a little bit more moderate, but the effect on the economy is substantial, as we know, and there's a good deal of interest in people who are unemployed, wanting to get back into work, and we understand that, but we are letting the system directly put out its best predictions, most accurate ones that it possibly can come up with here, so that they can be considered in all of these discussions that are going on.
Absolutely. So till the next time, which will be in a few days' time, please stay safe and good luck. And we hope to see you again in a few days. Thank you from Grant Renier and myself, Dr. Howard Rankin. Take care.